The word yoga comes from the Sanskrit word yog. And the word yog is extremely deep and philosophic. It means union. To unite is yoga. That requires the understanding of the unity of all things. Presently, we are in a state of viyog. That is the reverse of yoga. Let us say this is the divine consciousness, this is the individual consciousness. The individual consciousness has turned its back to the divine. That is the state of viyog. In the state of viyog, we have been covered by this ignorance of bodily consciousness. And we are striving for bhog. Bhog is the endeavor for sensual gratification. But bhog is the root cause of rog. So instead of yog, we are in viyog. And we are indulging in bhog, which is resulting in rog. Rog is disease. And what is the solution for this disease? The solution is to go to the root and to change our consciousness. The science of yoga is a systematic technique for helping us develop our personality at the physical level, mental level, intellectual level, and spiritual level. This science encompasses varieties of activities, varieties of thoughts. How do you look at this world is an aspect of yoga. How do you look at yourself is an aspect of yoga. How do you look at others? How do you perceive the work that you do, the air that you breathe, the food that you eat? All this is related to yoga. The problem is that we have forgotten ourselves. Who are we? We see ourselves as this body made of matter. That is a very gross understanding. It is like a driver sitting in the car and you mistake the car to be the driver. In the same way, if we think I am this body, then if somebody has an amputation, that person should change because the body has changed. But intuitively we realize we still remain the same. We are far more, far deeper, far higher than this body. The problem is we have forgotten that divine spiritual identity. And seeing ourselves as this material body, we have made bodily material pleasures as the goal of our pursuits. What can I see to be happy? What can I touch to be happy? What can I taste to be happy? What can I smell to be joyous? What can I hear to be thrilled? We are striving after the pleasures of the body. And the experience of everyone is that there is no satiation in this endless pursuit of a mirage. However, the science of yoga informs us that far more beautiful than the Poconos, far more solemn than the Grand Canyon, far more enormous than the sequoia groves, is the potential for beauty that lies within all of us. We are all potentially beautiful from within. The science of yoga is a technique that helps us to manifest the divinity that lies hidden within the inner recesses of our personality. If we are so beautiful, why is it not getting manifest? The external beauty we see is the work of material nature. We are beyond that. We are divine. We are parts of the divine nature. If the material nature is so wonderful, imagine how spectacular the spiritual nature will be. That is the true nature of you and I and all of us. What is preventing from manifesting it? There are various layers to our personality. Even from a scientific point of view, if you take a look at your hand, it gives the impression of being solid matter. However, if you were to observe your hand under a fine microscope, you would discover it is not so solid. It has got cells that are loosely connected with tissues. And if you had an even finer microscope, you would find that the cells now dissolve into molecules and atoms. There we reach the boundary of matter and energy. For if we delve into these atoms, we have electrons whirling at the speed of light, and the neutrons and protons in the nucleus and many other subatomic particles. Science informs us that these particles are not solid as they seem to be. They are just traces of energy that disappear the moment they are pinpointed. And between these electrons is such enormous space. 99.99% of the atom is empty space. What then is the nature of our body? It is a whole lot of energy. From the yogic point of view, this energy that makes up the body has different levels. The first is the earth. Subtler is the water. Even subtler is fire. Even subtler is the air within the body. Even subtler is the sky or the space. The 5 gross elements. Subtler than that is the energy of the mind. Even subtler is the intellect. Even subtler is the ego. And beyond the ego is the real self, the I, which is spirit, which is soul. The Atman, you can call it by any name. In the same way, the car for the soul and the mind is the body. And hence this journey has to begin with tuning up the body. That is why in this yogic system, there is the outlining of the scientific processes for keeping this body healthy, a fine instrument. Sharira madhyam khalu dharma sadhanam. Even to attain your spiritual objectives, the body is your vehicle and needs to be taken care of. So, a true yogic practice addresses all aspects of our personality. There are varieties of systems of yoga that have been taught for thousands of years. There is the system of karma yoga, which teaches us how to experience the divine joy through work, how to make your work divine. There is then the system of Jnana Yoga, which teaches us how to illumine your intellect with such wisdom that you elevate yourself to be established in the transcendental. There is the system of Hatha Yoga, which teaches how through self-abnegation and austerity and overcoming the lower self by the higher self, you can go inward to reach the fountain source of joy. There is the system of Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of divine love, that teaches you how to expand your heart until it encompasses the entire world, free from the tiniest irritants, and through love reach that ultimate joy. There is the system of Ashtanga Yoga, propounded by Maharshi Patanjali, the eightfold process: Yam, Niyam, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharan, Dhyan, Samadhi. The eightfold process, of which the physical postures is the third asana. The breathing exercises is the fourth pranayam, and yet there is so much more to it.